Hello, good people. Emmanuel Safali bring you the Promise Insurance Show. I want to start this episode by showcasing an article that appeared in the Observer newspaper on 19th of March 2025. It actually made rounds in very many platforms on social media because people were beginning now to question and punch holes in how unit trusts actually make money. Of course, I'll also mention the good news that we have now, the dollar investment schemes and all that kind of stuff. But let's first listen in to what this observer, Mark Chidamba, had to say about unit trust, and we see if he makes a fair analysis and review. And then I'll go into my presentation. Please, this is going to be a little bit long, but I believe we can learn a thing or two from his analysis. So this is David Jamwa. He is a former MD of NSF and now a consultant. But let's see what his analysis were. Okay, so he started here saying that if you have 100,000 shillings or $27 or more and are willing to stash away, chances are high that you have been approached to invest in a unit trust. Fair. Even better, you have been wooed to the investment scheme with leafy statistics, talk of risk-free returns, and a non-tax policy on your income. All this is backed with documented real-life testimonies. What you're not being given is a fair assessment of the collective investment vehicle, because history has taught us that if it is too good to be true, it probably is. Well, what is a unit trust? Yes, he gives a breakdown. What we always say, unit trust is a collective investment scheme that pools monies for investors together into a fund and then divides that particular fund into price units that it offers its investors to buy on the market. The fund is managed by investment professionals, and these investments aren't traded on the stock market. The prices of the units is linked to the net asset value of the fund, that is, the value of the fund's asset minus its liabilities, give the true value of each unit of the fund. In Uganda, as reported by Capital Markets Authority, there are 6 licensed collective investment schemes with over 120,000 Ugandans invested in them. As a whole, more than 3.5 trillion, about 948.2 million US dollars, is under management in unit trust, with UAP Old Mutual the largest unit trust, with assets under its management valued at over 2.4 trillion Uganda shillings, which is about 661.3 million US dollars. So that is impressive. That's a very good fact. And by the way, these monies have grown by about 70% or more, and just within about 4 years. This is the COVID period. From 2020, before 2020, I think all the collective, the unit trusts in Uganda had collected over about 900 million combined. But after that, because of the COVID lockdown and all that, people saw that these monies actually make much more value in unit trusts, and they have since grown by leaps and bounds by a huge percentage to what we are currently seeing at about 3.5 trillion. It could actually close to maybe about 4 trillion by the time I present this video. Collective investment schemes, or unit trusts, are commonly known, have been in wonder in the investment sector in Uganda because they offer double-digit returns and are not taxed. They don't pay capital gains tax on their income. That is very true. And in their interest is earned daily. Also, you have to your money back in as little as 48 hours. These benefits have blinded investors and prompted financial advisors to shy away from speaking about the risks associated with this fire investment vehicle, in the process of making them market the venture as a risk-free investment. However, unit trusts come with a number of caveats that investors need to be brought up to speed with. Namely, unit trusts are marketed as simple to understand, but in reality, they are complicated, and many unit trust investors don't understand the risks and costs involved. Neither do they understand their makeup. As an instance, many investors don't know that unit trusts have a lifespan, and the shorter the lifespan, the higher the costs involved. All investors are programmed to worry about is that their income isn't taxed and they can access their money swiftly. True? Okay, investment schemes have high costs, fund levies, platform and intermediary fees. These charges are incorporated in every unit trust managed, and the fund doesn't divulge the information of these fees to the investors who are oblivious of the charges levied for the management of their monies. Okay. Trusts evaluate their units from time to time, and the cost of this exercise is passed down to the unit holders. Many unit trust investors in Uganda cannot definitely tell you how much they are charged for the management of their monies. When you buy into a unit trust, you are buying into that fund manager's investment strategy. This is of concern because they invest in equities, bonds, and fixed deposit accounts, but mostly concentrate on bonds, which one can buy on their own and hold them without paying the fund as a middleman. Very true. Needless to say, unit trusts can get expensive when fund managers pack units to make them lucrative. Moreover, the financial securities attached to the units aren't owned by the investor but by the fund manager. Okay, the investor owns what the fund manager has allotted to them, the unit. Furthermore, the unit trusts aren't actively managed because the securities to be invested in are pre-selected at the beginning and last for a specific time. So investors pay high management fees for units that are passively managed. What's more, in Uganda, unit trusts only invest in predictable and ordinary securities like treasury bills, bonds, and fixed deposit accounts. In the event that the horde of investors decide to sell their units in one go and as a result ask for their money back, similar to what happened during the pandemic, where people were withdrawing hefty amounts of money daily to settle medical bills, and in the occurrence of a political turmoil, which Uganda always seems to be on the brink of, the unit trust may close the fund tentatively to stop people from selling as they find the money to buy back the units. That is quite true and quite a loaded statement, the kind of environment we're in, and now that we're looming into the political season in 2026. This creates a liquidity issue because the fund manager may have to sell property to get money back, to buy back units from sellers, which could in turn lead to panic and a run. Quality investment schemes are generally very ambitious and are always looking at a rapid growth. This forces them to heavily invest in advertising and marketing to get visibility. These costs are then transferred to the investor. David Chandi Jangwa, the managing director of D. Craven Consulting Limited, specializing in strategy, finance, and investment, had the following reservations about unit trust. There is nothing like a risk-free unit trust. There are numerous unit trust funds, including those focused on listed equities, money market funds, and a combination of debt and equities. Risks vary from the nature of the fund. Money market funds are exposed to the risk of rising interest rates, which devalue their existing investments. Equity funds may potentially lose 100% of their investments. Wow, that is a very correct statement. And that is why they actually limited equities funds. That are there, if the client knows and appreciates the risk and want to go there, they are also available. However, returns should be assessed against an investor's benchmark. These investors moving money from their current savings account to unit trust may rightly argue that they are receiving a high return, usually more than 11% after tax, compared to the less than 3% per annum paid by commercial banks. However, returns paid by the unit trust funds are lower than an investor would receive if they invested in a medium to long-term dated government bonds, which is anywhere between 14 to 18% per annum. We shall also discuss this in our presentation. Well, investors should assess their return after tax and inflation. The after-tax real rate of return. For example, a gross after tax of 11% is equivalent to a real rate of return of 6.5%. Yes. In conclusion, the bulk of unit trust schemes in Uganda are money market funds. They are an excellent vehicle for preserving the investor's wealth against the effect of inflation. They are less effective as a capital growth accumulation mechanism. Money market fund will not make you rich. With that being said, one can directly buy and own financial securities, bonds, and equities, and cut out the middleman unit trust and all the costs they come with as an effective way of investing. Well, very well said by Mark Chidamba, the journalist, and with the citation he made of David Jamwa, the former ED of NSF. Well, with that said, I wanted to just also give you some good news because I represent. I have this Britam that has some good news. Let's first listen it out, and then we shall go to the major presentation. Then we shall also see what its app does for its investors. Thank you. Just tune in.
Meet Moses. He invests in dollars, but here's the smart part. His dollars don't just sit there. They're out there making more dollars for him. He can take a break, but make or break, his dollars never rest. They're out there hustling for him 24/7, even when he's asleep, halfway through his dreams. Save your dollars with Britam Easy Earner Dollar and earn competitive interest in 3, 6, and 12 months. Call us today on 0312 305 600.
So that is a brief of what the US dollar, unit trust works briefly. But let's just go into this presentation that I wanted to go through. Yes, we of course have Britam. I had to speak more about Britam because it's an example I'm going to use, much as we already talked about the biggest. But let's look at what Britam has to offer. So this is their purpose. So you always have to look at what your fund manager has to offer and what they stand for. So it's always good to know the overview of the company. So if this is Britam, it's diversified group, headquarters in Kenya, and the number one insurer in Kenya. In Uganda, it's another story. It's about number, I think, 3 as far as insurance is concerned. But in terms of money markets, it's also another story. But let's focus to who are the institutional investors. We have Afrikinvest. We have IFC, the investment arm of the World Bank, having about 8.8. And then Afrikinvest, that's a consortium for European investors at 17.55. We have Swiss Re, the second world's biggest reinsurance company, at about 15.7. And the NSF Group at about 9.14%. This is the business growth. It's very key. That's to show you that the company has actually been in existence and actually is not about to collapse the way we have seen in that presentation in the Observer. So they talk about how we started in 2011. The fund management business was licensed and regulated by Capital Markets Authority and the Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority, UBRA. Okay, we have the retail arm and then the institutional arm. Of course, the retail is the unit trust that were actually designed as a result of the institutional ones, which are the like pension funds. These are supposed to be retirement funding mechanisms. So, but for those people who are not in formal institutions that have pensions, they can easily take up the unit trust to take, and that is why, by the way, these are the returns gotten in unit trust are tax exempt because they come up from this background of having the pension or the retirement planning. So such funds and returns are tax exempt because of that fact that they are long term for retirement funding. So this is EPIC for Britam strategy. It's about we're leveraging people, technology, culture, and to enable our partners to deliver meaningful interactions and satisfying experiences all the time. So it's the strategy from 2021 to 2025 was delighting the customer with EPIC Squared. Unit trusts have already been spoken about. They are collective investment schemes that where like-minded investors pool money to be invested in a portfolio of interest-bearing financial instruments, which include treasury bills, government bonds, corporate bonds, bank deposits. Okay, they are mainly appreciated for the competitive interest rates, easy to access funds, tax efficiency, compound interest, diversification, and then of course effective cash management. I could speak more about this, but we're limited by time. The general investor objective is low risk, high liquidity, high return, low or no tax. And this is something that the journalists had to actually appreciate. People worry about the tax element. So that is why when people got to know more about unit trusts, the numbers have skyrocketed in a very short time, about 4 years to be exact. Okay, this is also very key to note. Governance structure of any unit trust fund usually has a trustee. So you always see most bank accounts having a trustee. In this case, for Britain, it is KCB. There's also a custodian. Now, this is a bank. It has to be a financial bank, a financial institution, and a bank to be exact. So we have the fixed income fund, we have Stanbic Bank, and then for the umbrella fund or the money market funds, we have Standard Chartered Bank. The fund manager is the Britam Asset Managers Uganda Limited. Then the regulator is Capital Markets Authority, Uganda Retirement Regulatory Authority, UBRA, then the Financial Intelligence Authority. Auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I speak something about the fixed income fund. This is the target. Who are we targeting mostly? It's suitable for investors who want certainty and whose liquidity needs are predictable. So the features, we have both Uganda shillings and USD, US dollars. Minimum investment of 5 million shillings and 10,000 US dollars. For topping up, for this particular fund, the fixed income fund, you're looking at a minimum of 2 million for Uganda shillings and then $5,000 for the USD one. Then there are fixed tenures. You have to investment tenures, like how long you can invest, 3 to 12 months. Then the annual fees. This is something that the journalist pointed out strongly, and you have to disclose this. This is something that you have to always find out, what are the fees. But if you compare what are your fees vis-a-vis the return, I think you can actually make a good bet. So, for instance, for the 3 months, people investing for 3 months, we shall charge them 2% at redemption of the return that we are offering. And then for the ones in 6 months, we shall charge 1.5%. And then for the 12 months, we shall charge 1%. So the longer you're investing, the less we charge as management fees. Okay, and then so that is the same, cuts across. Then these returns are exempt from tax, as I told you, and the reason why, because they are long-term investments, mostly targeting pension or retirement plan. Then indicative floating rates are always shown, and then premature liquidation in the event of emergency is allowable, subject to a penalty of 2.5% reduction on the indicative rate. That means if you had invested, you had told us you want to invest for 12 months, but then after 3 months you want to get back your money, whatever we have guaranteed you in that 12 months, we shall, if you have guaranteed you 13%, we shall deduct at redemption the 13 minus the 2.5%. Yes, as a penalty. And of course, you can access interest at ease. This is just an illustration we used as of April. This is April 2025. For 3 months, we shall give you a return of about 11.77%, and this is actually net. At 6 months, it will be about 12.67%, and at 12 months, it will be 13.28%. For the US dollars, by the way, this is also because the video we started with the 4.28%, 4.78%, and then 5.2%. This is quite huge, and I'm sure many Ugandans out there who are earning some dollars. We have in some diaspora accounts or people who have been, the Ugandans working and staying abroad, and they're earning some money. So rather than just keeping it wherever they earn, they are highly taxed, they can actually transfer some of that here. But you must have a Ugandan bank account. Okay, this is also key to note. Now, if the total fund gross of fees, the return could be, on average, would be about 15.09%. But when it comes to the minus the taxes, minus all the other costs involved, it could come to about these rates that we're giving you, that we shall actually put in your contract. For the US dollar, it could actually raise up to about 6.8%. So these are indicative rates, and they keep changing every year. So every day and every month we give you an average. This is also very key to note, the accounts numbers that we use. As I told you, because we have a custodian, we have a trustee, we have the regulators and all that. So the account name, you will always see having the name KCB because this is a trustee, and then in trust for ITF. When you see ITF, it means in trust for Britam Fixed Income Fund. So that is the fund where you will deposit your money in Stanbic Bank. For the dollar, it's also there. The target here, we're looking at people who are investing. We already talked about this. This was for the umbrella fund. It's more or less the same, only that here there are no penalties and the top-ups are allowed. This one is not fixed. The return keeps changing every other day. The bank account details are almost more or less the same, only that here we are having Standard Chartered Bank instead. Okay. So Britam Money Market Fund versus the market. This is very key to note because the journalist actually pointed it out and made it a very big concern. But let's look at the duration of say 3 months on average. If someone is investing 100 million under the umbrella fund, on average, well, I shared the rates earlier, but let's say as of April 2025, the average rate was about 11.6. But because there is a compounding nature, you will find that this return will come to about 12 million. 0.6. Actually, because there is a compounding nature. If it was not compounding, it would actually just raise this figure as to about 11.6. But because there is a compounding nature of interest rates, this rate the value will go to about 12.6. If you look at the fixed income fund for the people who are investing, let me say I use an example of someone who is investing for 12 months, the net return would be about 13.2 million at the end of the 12 months, compared to this person who was doing umbrella fund. It keeps fluctuating on average. Then let's look at someone in treasury bills. As the journalist had said that the rates could go to 14 and 18%, but for the recent past, as of the time we presented this presentation, the returns for treasury bills were at 9.9%. But if you look at the capital gains tax element, you get the nominal return of 7.2%. If you look for 6 months, it was 12.7%. Then the nominal return will actually be 10.16. And then for the 12 months, if it was 13.8, it comes down to about 11.04%. So you will see the net return here is about 11 million. If you compare this now to the bank, fixed deposit banks, if they have given you about 9.7% return for someone who is investing 100 million, you will find that there is a capital gains tax of 15%, which will bring down your nominal rate, the return after tax, to 7.125. So that makes it about 7.1 million. So that's the reason why you're seeing many people have gone for the unit trust. The fixed income funds are also very good. So the investment process, as we shared, you can even make top-ups using mobile money. There's always what we call that T+1 or the trading day +1. So whenever you need back your money, we also have to factor that in. If we tell you 48 hours, that it can actually come down to about 24 hours whenever you want to get back your money, but it can actually be less, especially if you use the app. As I'm going to show you the app shortly. You can also use the app, top up using mobile money. For now, we're using MTN mobile money, and that is what you use, the processes. There are two merchant codes. There's Britam Umbrella Fund, and then there's Britomo for the money market fund. And you can top up with a minimum of 50,000. Okay, the onboarding processes are not so complicated. So with that said, I wanted to just conclude this with this brief video of how the fund or how the app works. So that said, I would want to conclude this video with going back to how the takeaway points. He made very good points, but of course you always have to study and know that you have options of investing both in Uganda shillings and in dollars. You have to do your background research. Make sure you have these. You're using technology and to enhance your experience. You need to follow and track your returns on a day-to-day basis. That said, I remain Emmanuel Sansafali. Stay blessed. Keep watching. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed. Share the message to your friends and family. And that's it. Have a good day.